Well, yeah, we're having a good time before we come on the air here. Welcome to the Fall Turf Festival at Gulfstream Park. If you're not aware, we've been getting intermittent showers here all morning. The races have been taken off the turf. Pete, we're going to be dealing with a sloppy main track today, but we do have our Rainbow Six starting in the fifth race today. Over $150,000 in the pool going into today.
Yeah, a damp afternoon in South Florida, but it's not dampened our enthusiasm any. A Friday afternoon program that gets underway at 12:35 this afternoon. We lost a couple of horses due to scratches, but still a pretty bettable card.
Yeah, you know, as we mentioned, we'll go through it and everything like that. We just got a couple of late scratches, actually, before we came on the air. There, you see the Rainbow Six slate up there, $152,755. That starts in race number 5. And it's great to know that what kind of track you're dealing with early in the day. We also got to carry over Pete in the Super High Five. Over almost $12,000.
Yes, today's 10th race will probably result in that pool being liquidated, as the 10th race is a competitive but bettable race here this afternoon. If you're playing the Super High Five, today's the day to do it. You have $11,000 in dead money to chase and a sequence that you definitely can make a score on.
Well, let's take a look at our first race. 6 furlongs claimers, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. Non-winners of 2 races in life, $6,250. 1 scratch, number 5, Punisher. I went with the number 7 in here, Benny First Baby, who's wheeling back at the same level and distance today, Pete, after finishing second to a horse called Lady Con, who came back to win as the odds-on choice on Monday. So I believe it was Monday, wasn't it? No? No?
She came back to run, went 1-9 and finish off the board in last.
That's what it was. She did not win.
She finished last.
I knew that. Well, Lady Con did not win. I wrote it down here wrong. So we got Lady Con. You sure she didn't win?
She finished last.
The time before.
Yes, at the time before she won, the day that she beat Benny First Baby. She came back and was 1-5 on Monday against a field she was supposed to handle easily. She finished last in that race. The reason I bring it up is not to make you feel bad, but because that's my key handicapping angle for not playing Benny First Baby on top. In my opinion, the degree of difficulty in this first race is pretty high because, again, this is one of those races where they all look like they have a shot. There's not a whole lot of dedicated speed in here. I was hoping Punisher remained in to try to send. I think now the speed horse is number 1, Broadway Secret, who you used. I struggled with this race. I used the 6 on top of Fleet Alley. You used her second. I just can't think that as bad as she ran last time, she's that horse. She has to be better than that. Yeah,
so you will give her a chance to bounce back. You mentioned the 1 in here, Broadway Secret, cutting back to 3/4 of a mile. After almost pulling off that 31-1 upset when finishing a length behind, there was another long shot in that race, and that was Kimberly Is That You. Both of them, that was a big exacta that day. So I just thought, like you said, this horse might be the controlling speed in race number 1 today.
I think that's probably true. Again, I think that this race is tough. I think this is a good race maybe to buy in the first half of your early daily doubles because, as we'll touch on in just a moment, race number 2 is off the turf, and it does look like there's a horse in there that does stand above the rest of the horses in the second. So maybe an all onto the 8 horse in today's second race as part of the daily double. Odd shift there. Number 1, Broadway Secret, has taken some early action here. The other horse to use is the 8, Mimi Palpanches. She comes from well off the speed. Not a whole lot of speed in here, but she's at least reliable. And in this kind of race, I'll take a horse who fires her same race each and every afternoon. I use the 8 third, 6, 7, 8 for me in a tough first race.
Well, let's go to the second race today. 1 mile and 1/16. As Pete mentioned, it's off the turf. These are claimers, 3-year-olds and up. $16,000 in here. Scratch a couple of horses in here. We have the scratch of the 3, 5, and 6 horses in here. I went with the number 8, Dynamic Boy, and so did you, Pete.
Yeah, I think that Dynamic Boy is the top play in this race. He is a 2-time winner on the slop, 2-time winner on the dirt. Just briefly glancing, I don't know that anybody else can say that. I think that 7 Whisper on the win. We have 2 synthetic and 3 turf, so no wins there. The 4 Mutasadir has never won on the dirt. The 3 is out. The 1, let's look, Gifted Ruler. 3 wins on the turf, no dirt wins there. And Tom Kitten has 1 win over a non-turf surface. So 2-time winner on the dirt is number 8, Dynamic Boy. He was my top play on the turf. He's my top play on the dirt as well. I think he's a solid anchor in your early daily double. He's definitely the horse to beat in here because not only is he the best horse, he takes surface advantage over the rest of the field and he has pace advantages here because he does have some tactical speed and an outside post.
Yeah, number 2, Tom Kitten, as you mentioned, this is his third start of his current form cycle. The Workman like 5th last time out, but that was against $12,000 optional claimers. The out-track race also was moved to a sealed sloppy track. Marcus Vitale, Orlando Boca Chica. I think this horse is spotted nicely at that $16,000 level. Going to have to prove it can handle, the track with moisture in it, but a logical, second choice in there on the board. I switched my picks, but I forgot to tell him I had 8-2, 2-8, and I also threw in the 1 in there, and that was because I lost the 3, Sammy Alexander, just before we came on the air.
Yeah, I think this race is 2-8, 8-2. Just depends on which way you like it and how many times you want to punch it. Tom Kitten finished behind number 8, Dynamic Boy, last time out on the main track. Dynamic Boy beat him by 4 lengths. That was his first start for the new outfit. Tom Kitten's races prior to that on the dirt are plenty good enough here. They look like the standouts in today's second race.
Well, let's go to race number 3. This is 1 mile starter optional claimer, 3-year-olds and up, $10,000. And scratch the number 4 horse in here, Quiz Whiz. Also a late scratch that we got just before we came on the air. I went with the 1 in here, Dangerous Brew, and so did Pete. This one's stretching out to his most accomplished distance, 6 races, 2 wins, a 2nd and 3/3, getting the services of jockey Eduardo Nunez today after hitting the board in 4 or 5 recent sprints against similar competition. This horse is always right there. I think the stretch out to a mile is going to help. But you look at his record on an off track, 2 starts, 1 win and 1/3. Lots of things to like about the number 1, Dangerous Brew.
I agree. I'm just actually surprised, which is why I was shaking my head. I would have thought I would have lost a big side bet with anybody else that you would have picked Blings Express on top. I ask you, based on the fact that you didn't pick Blings Express on top, 2 questions. 1, were you worried about a speed duel with Quiz Whiz? And 2, now that Quiz Whiz is scratched, the 4 horse is out of today's 3rd race, do you think that Blings Express moves up and can carry his speed 2 turns?
I think he can, and I think you're right about the number 6, Blings Express, but I've been watching Dangerous Brew run, and I just think the stretch out today, this horse has always been right there, and I just thought with the distance change, just before I knew it was going to be a sloppy track or anything, I like Dangerous Brew going in, and Blings Express stretching out to this mile distance. He stalked early, drew clear late, defeat similar, but that was going 5.5 furlongs. Marcus Vitale, Orlando Boca Chica handling the stretch out. So basically for me, it was a distance angle that I used the 1, Dangerous Brew on top. But you got to have Blings Express on your ticket, and as I say, just before I came in the air, I threw in the 3 playing a joke because I lost Quiz Whiz.
I like playing a joke's chances before the scratch of Quiz Whiz. He's my second play in this race. As you touched on, Ronnie, I went with Dangerous Brew myself. I'm not sure Blings Express wants to go long, but thank you very much to the connections of Quiz Whiz if you're Blings Express, because now you don't have to worry about a huge meltdown on the front end with 2 very sharp sprinters. Blings Express has taken his game around 2 turns in the past. It did not result in his best performances, but he definitely will be on a clear lead here. I agree with Ronnie, though. I think that with the rider switch off from Gary Bain to Eduardo Nunez, and the fact that we're stretching out around 2 turns, Dangerous Brew moves up and will likely stalk Blings Express and catch him when it matters.
So you see how we pick the race there, 1, 6, and 3. Let's go to the 4th race. This one originally scheduled for 5 furlongs on the turf, now to be run on a main track. We're going to show a video. This horse, I really like this horse's chances on the turf today. We had the video in there. I want to ask you the question. This is a race on October 30th, and it's the 2 horse in here that day, Rove Avivi, I think it's pronounced. This one ran really well in here. I want to ask you, do you think this horse can translate that really good performance into a victory on the main track today?
That's a tough call, because the only time that she ran on the main track, not only was it her career debut, she lost to Adachi and Divine Ada. Divine Ada came back to win 2 races in a row. This was a good run. Penry, the horse that beats her, invades from Indiana Downs on the drop-in class, so much improved race there from Rover Vevi. You can't really say it was the turf that did it, because she had been on the turf the race before that, so maybe she's just getting better. If she is, regardless of surface, she has a big chance in here. My selection in here comes with the giant asterisk. I'm not going to change it because I don't really have a good enough horse to change it to. I liked Rona Daytona on the turf. I don't really know what to do with her on the main track. Her races on the main track are pretty bad. The only thing I can say about it is the 2 races that she ran on the main track were against much, much tougher. Danessa Deluxe, who won that race the last time she was on the dirt, is in the Delta Princess tomorrow, and Sky Limit was a Pletcher winner in her second start of her career. Now, that was against in the slop, so My enthusiasm for this entire race gets tempered because of the surface switch. However, my enthusiasm from a betting standpoint is not really tempered because I think that nobody's proven themselves on the main track. So now you can look and shop for a price and get some price horses here.
I beg to differ. Let me see if I can perk you
All
up
right, here we
with
go.
the number 4 10-cent hat. This one third and second respectively against New Jersey Bred's maiden special weight competition at Monmouth on the main track. Doesn't run very well on the turf here today. Blinkers off, Paco Lopez, Eddie Plesa Jr. I think this horse is sitting on a huge performance on the main track, whether it be sloppy or by this time of the day, the track is drying out. I think the 4 10-cent hat has a big chance in here. Did I perk you up? Did I help your enthusiasm with this race?
Well, not really, because 10-cent hat has never seen the main track here in South Florida. Everybody knows New Jersey. Now, granted, this horse is an intriguing prospect because she's raced in South Florida. Now, it was over the grass course, so for me, she's never tried the main track. That's really the key here. That said, I will give you a lot of credit with the fact that she has dirt form where nobody else has dirt form, and her races in New Jersey are plenty good enough against this field, although I think she's going to be overbet here.
What about the 9 Scintillant, who we both have on our tickets, dueled early with a horse that was in here June Flower Week and he finished 4th. I just thought this horse could run pretty well in here with the move to the main track.
She'll be on the engine, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Scintillant will be the pace setter. I think the 10-cent hat will have something to say about that. Again, the pace scenario gets muddled a little bit because you don't know how fast they're going to be on the main track. Scintillant plenty fast enough early, just don't know about her ability to handle this sloppy surface and handle the main track.
Yeah, you see before the layoff, she showed speed on wet surfaces in a pair of sprints back there. And if you key off that, certainly looks like she's going to be on there. Also wanted to mention in here, there's a scratch in here of number 3, Moon Solo Moon. So anything else in here? Note the number 4 horse. No, that's the 5th race, has the blinkers off. So anything else in the 4th?
The only thing I can say is that if you are following the same strategy as me in the early pick 4, buy this race, and you'll be happy you did no matter who won, because you have a solid single in the anchor leg race number 6 on the program.
Well, let's go to the 5th race and here 1 mile maiden special weight 3-year-olds and up. A very nice race. And this is the horse I wanted to tell you. Blinkers off for number 4, Curlin's Gem. Just got that from Pete before we came on the air. So blinkers off to number 4, Curlin's Gem in here. And I went with the number 7 horse in here, and that's Pelican Beach. This one's stretching out to a mile after a useful return from an 8-month-plus layoff. Second off the bench has been a really key angle here for trainer Todd Pletcher, especially at this Gulfstream Park West meeting. His horses really look good in the second start after he gives them one over the track. 24% with horses also stretching out in distance, which this horse is doing today.
If she goes fair, he goes favored. He's a horse that I'm going to try to beat. He's 9-5 favorite on the morning line. I think there's 2 very viable alternatives, including number 4, Curlin's Gem. I'm very, very intrigued by this horse. Something tells me that this horse is sitting on a big race, and that something is those workouts across town at Gulfstream Park. After a horse that did not really show much speed in his afternoon races, to work 47 and change, not once, but twice over the Gulfstream Park main track, and now the blinkers are coming off for trainer Marty Wolfson. I don't think that they're worried about this horse being sharp. In fact, he looks like he's very, very sharp. His one race on the main track at Gulfstream Park was his career debut in March. He lost to Little Daddy, who came back to run very, very well. He actually won his next race, struggled against stakes horses, and then came back and blew the doors off an allowance field a couple weeks ago right here at Gulfstream West. That race at the time was a very, very well-regarded race. What's Up Big Guy came back this spring to be favored against maiden special weights, and Flatjack, who was second that afternoon, has come back to pan out to be pretty nice as well. I don't know if he just didn't take to the poly track up at Woodbine.
Or the turf. He had 4 on the poly, 1 on the turf.
And the fact that he has now had a race off a bit of a freshening. All signs are that Marty Wolfson's got this horse right where he wants him. I like him here. I think he's a very good alternative to the 2 favorites who are outside.
Well, there's nothing I can add to that, Pete. There's nothing anyone could add to that. You've been talking for 12 minutes. The number 6 Classic Brew makes his first start for Brian Lynch. Since finishing 4th as the favorite, that was its 7-furlong debut at Woodbine. Gets Lasix, gets Edgar Prado, got a bullet work up at Palm Meadows. There are lots of things to like in there. And this horse favored. Don't know, of course, it was a Stronach horse up there in Woodbine that it was favored, but it looks like a pretty nice horse.
He wasn't favored. He was heavily favored. Even money on a career debut. That's a big move from the betting public. I think Classic Brew's a lot better than that. He's certainly bred to be a lot better than that. By Medagliadoro out of Ginger Brew, who earned almost $1 million. Very, very well-bred colt here, the 6 horse in race number 4, or race number 5, I should say. Start of your Rainbow 6. You go 3 deep, you're safe. You can try to take a stand and go 2 or 2 deep, or maybe even single here. You just have to pick between the 4, 6, and 7. And because I've talked about this race for 12 minutes, let's move into race number 6 on the program.
One thing I want to say, Brian Lynch.
Now you have something to say.
Well,
okay.
I just want to say I really like the work that Brian Lynch does. He's one of my favorite trainers when he comes down here to South Florida in the winter time. Just wanted to put that out about Brian Lynch. Now we'll go to the 6th race. This one, 1 mile, originally scheduled for the turf. Now on the main track, starter optional claimer, 2-year-olds, $35,000. Main track only, number 12. G5 gets in the race today. We got some scratches in there, and just a few scratches in there. We got the 2, the 6, and the 11, and blinkers on the number 7. Looks like a nice spot for the number 12, G5.
Sure does. I love him here. He's been so good in his South Florida races. He blew the doors off Cool Union Man 2 starts ago, beat him by 8. Cool Union Man came back to win, and then G5's next race was even better. Boy, was that a good run. Sitting off the speed, going 1 mile on this main track. The only thing I have to wonder is, does he handle the off surface? He's by Flashy Bull, who was by Holy Bull, who we knew could handle the off going, and Harlan's Holiday on the bottom does not give me any cause for concern over a wet racetrack. Now you can look and see that this horse did race on a track that was less than fast. It was his career debut. He's a much better colt than that now. He really looked like he was a good thing going long last time. And against this field, he looks like he has him over a barrel. He's the aforementioned solid single in the early pick 4.
Well, my selections are really 12, 9, and 1 in this race because the 6 horse, the scratch, never had picked the 6. That was your pick earlier in the day, Bo's Bullet, when it was on the turf. 9 upheld, I'll tell you why. Lots of recent maiden winners in this race, I believe, figure. This one I was impressed when he shook off pressure to score by a length, was second on the wet track over at Gulfstream on September 12th. I really liked his performance. That's the number 9, upheld. So I just think this horse can run well in here. I mean, 12 is the one to beat. There's no doubt about it in there. But the number 9 upheld on my ticket.
For me, Cool Union Man underneath. He was second to G5 in his debut. No reason to think that he's improved enough to turn the tables on G5, only because G5's got even better. But this horse is also improving, and Kathleen O'Connell and Eduardo Nunez are very happy this race came off the grass, I'm sure, because this horse's dirt form is very good. He seems to me to be the best of the rest, but I love G5. It's G5 and then everybody else for me.
Okay, let's go to the 7th race in there. And the 7th race, 1 mile starter optional claimer, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. And we want to go back and show you a race from November 6th. And it's Capriccio Blue going up there, stalking and then setting really slow early fractions this race. I know you wanted to go back and show it.
Well, I'm glad you wanted to show it. I asked you for your opinion on whether or not you thought it was showable, and I think that it is. Capriccio Blue makes an easy lead in 25-4 here. And then Prado's just going to let this horse up on the outside, Divining, run right up alongside and then right past Capriccio Blue early. For me, I don't understand that logic. You just made the lead going almost 26. You're even money to do it. The heck with it. Let her run a little bit. Now what's going to happen here is that Divining's going to go on, and then Capriccio Blue at some point in the race, I think it's on the far turn run, will then have to tip back to the outside and make another move. Tactically, it just didn't make any sense. Here you go. Yeah. Now Divining crosses and clears. Prado has to move Capriccio Blue into the 2-path. Meanwhile, Hot Coffee, who ends up winning the race, is just getting everything her own way, just gliding along, while Capriccio Blue's playing inside and outside. Didn't make sense. I think that Capriccio Blue's much better than that.
Yeah, and I just think still a logical choice in here. Capriccio Blue, Hot Coffee, as you mentioned, gets up and out kicks it at the wire and everything, maybe from all that early maneuvering there. Number 4, Out Wildcat, moved to the Dave Brady Bonvita claim, stretching out to a mile today. Broke from post 11 in his last race, got the lead in the stretch, got caught late, finishing second, beat and a half. That was at 6 furlongs. It was against $6,250 claimers. 5 previous races on the wet track, 1 win, 1 second, and 2/3. I just think that number 4, Out Wildcat, figures in this bunch here.
She's my top play. If she runs as well as she did any of her last, about 7, 8, 9, 10 races, if she runs her usual race for new trainer David Brady, I think she wins, because I don't know that Capriccio Blue really wants to go long. Yeah, I think that was probably one of the reasons why Prado wanted to take it as easy as he could on her last time out. I don't think a 2-turn mile is what she wants to do.
Yeah, also in that race, scratch the 2, weather permitting, and the 5, Be Happy. Alex. Anything else, Ray? You only had the 2 selections up there. Let's go to our 8th race, and we'll fix our selections a little later on. We got to add some because we had a lot of scratches just before we came on the air. The 8th race, 1 mile off the turf. Claim is these are non-winners of 2 races in life, $6,250 in this race, and we have no scratches in this race. And I went with the 3 Yagatka on top of my ticket, and you went with the number 5 horse in here, and that is, what is that? Strawberry. I don't have my
Suaveberry.
I don't have my glasses on.
Sir.
Suaveberry, excuse me.
Very, very intrigued. But before we get to Suaveberry, I always look at your notes. Now look at my notes on Yagodka. What does that say?
No.
Absolutely not. I went with Suaveberry on top here. This horse is very intriguing to me. I actually don't think it matters the fact that we took this race off the grass. In fact, her races on the dirt may be as good, if not better, than her races on the grass. I'm just so fascinated here. This horse is 1-2 last time out against state-bred nickel claimers in her native Louisiana. She gets claimed that afternoon. Obviously, she didn't get claimed by Rohan Crichton. There's no way that this is the guy who claimed her. He's locally based. He's not going to venture to Louisiana to claim a horse for $5,000. I don't know who did. That may be relevant, but she shows up here in South Florida off of that race. She's in for a little bit higher than they took her, but there had to be an issue. You know, you have to think if there's an issue. She gets claimed in May. Now we're at the end of November, and we haven't seen her since. Now, she's not a stakes horse, so they have to eat. They have to, have vets and farriers and things of that nature. Horses at that level, they're not just going to sit on them for this long if there wasn't an issue. So now she debuts here in South Florida. Her works are just okay. But I'm just intrigued. There's just something here for me, and I'm going to use her right on top. I will be betting her, too, full disclosure. Josie Gomez for Rohan Crichton. Rohan's been doing very, very well. Not sure where he's getting some of his stock, namely this horse as well, but the price will be there because I think that the layoff line will scare people away. But, I mean, this filly, she has races last year at the fairgrounds that blow this field away.
Well, let's see how this race shapes up. I know you loved it when it was on the turf because he just said last night to me, I can't wait for this 8th race tomorrow. I hope it stays on the turf. I hope it runs well. But now you don't even care if it moves to the major.
Well, I said to you that I hope the morning line holds up because there were 2 horses in this race that I thought I was going to play in not only to win but in multi-leg exotics. 5 is Suaveberry. She's 12-1 on the morning line. And the 10, Spring Like a Cobra, is the other one. I don't know what to do with this filly now that we're on the main track, but here's my logic. You're a huge Brian Lynch fan from north of the border. I'm a huge Nick Gonzalez fan north of the border. He brings this horse in from Woodbine. This filly was cut out to be a lot nicer than she's been, too. She has a graded stake line on her running line. She ran in the Natalma grade 2 up at Woodbine in September of last year. Was only 8-1 in that afternoon. So obviously she's not panned out. It's an aggressive race placement by Nick Gonzalez, but that's the way he does things, and that's one of the things I like about him. He puts his horses where he thinks they can win. I don't know if he thinks that she can handle the off-going or not. At least in my opinion, why not try? She certainly isn't facing anything that she can't handle here today. Her race 2 back over the Woodbine Polytrack, plenty good enough. She was 36-1 that afternoon. Her races are good enough for me to be a big player here.
Well, I see the number 3, Yogatka, as the speed in here, and I think maybe the number 6, Blendy, can end up sitting a trip right behind the speed and others in this race that might go up and duel for the lead. Stark made a middle move, yielded late to finish 4th, beaten 1 3/4 lengths. Okay. On the turf, whatever, but this horse on a wet track, 3 starts, 2 seconds, so there's reason to believe this horse can run well in there. Got Spring Like a Cobra, number 7 on my ticket, just for all the reasons you mentioned. Love the work that Nick Gonzalez does over at Gulfstream Park during the winter. So on the ticket there, another race that has moved from the turf to the main track and becomes a very intriguing betting race. You have to figure out who is going to like the main track the best in there.
I'll tell you what, the one thing about it, I mean, certainly the racing office is not doing this on purpose, but what a beautiful placement for a guy like me who's a multi-leg guy to have a solid single in race number 6. Because every bet we offer, the pick 5, the early pick 4, and the 50 or 20-cent Rainbow 6 goes through that race. You can roll the pick 3s over. There's some very, very bettable races on either side of those. I'm a very happy guy right now.
Calm down now, because we've got a couple of races to do. Race number 9, 1 mile, allowance optional, claimer 3-year-olds and up, $62,500. Scratch the 5, 6, 7 and 8. Midnight Cello is scratched, but he's also entered as the main track only participant tomorrow in the Tropical Turf Grade 3. So if he's sitting on the MTOs there waiting to see if he can run in the stake, he was a nice horse. We both liked him a lot today. He's not going to play, and it looks like it really sets up nicely now for 3, None Like Nolan, trying to make it 2 in a row after circling the field and drawing away in the slop to defeat $16,000 optional claimers here. Pletcher and Bravo. A little shocked that you do not have this Joe Bravo ridden horse on top of your ticket, but you did go with a horse I am really liking here, and that is Black Diamond Cat, the number 4.
Well, there's a couple things I want to note. First and foremost, we like to show you backtracks, and we certainly would like to show you one here in this race. Unfortunately for us, all the backtracks that we were going to show, including number 8, Midnight Cello last time, those horses are scratched. So if you want to go back and watch None Like Nolan's last race, you'd be well advised to do so. The running line does do it justice. It was just as impressive as it looks. Went from 7th, 8 lengths off the speed, to first and on top. Once Bravo tipped this horse into the clear, he picked up the bid, he circled 5 wide, and he kicked on it in a big way. It was a really, really good run. He's clearly a better horse now than he was early on in the summertime. My question with None Like Nolan, and it might not even be a question because he stalked at Saratoga when he broke his maiden, I don't know that there's as much speed in this race. Now with the compact field, None Like Nolan will have to come around a slow pace, but he's talented, and I have no reason for not picking him on top.
Yeah, Black Diamond Cat, if you look at his record on the wet track, 11 starts, 4 wins, a second and 3/3. He stretches out tomorrow, first starts and finishing 4th behind a really nice horse, Bohemian Squall. That was on October 2nd, but you look at that race on September 11th on a good track. Was really nice race for number 4, Black Diamond Cat.
You see who he lost to that afternoon? Right. He lost to Valid that day, right, who came right back to beat stakes horses. He's one of the best handicap horses in South Florida. That's my opinion, but he certainly has been very, very consistent this entire racing campaign. Bohemian Squall is now out in California for David Fox. Purple Eggs is stakes winner. Let's just go through the company lines, Ronnie. Mr. Baker, Grand Shores, Grade 2 winner, Action Andy, Rebo Bobo, Sing Another Song, who won the Mr. Prospector, and then this horse himself won 2 stakes races last summer here at Gulfstream Park and at Gulfstream Park West. He likes this surface. He's a 7-time winner over this course.
Oh, we just got a late scratch in the 10th. We'll tell you that in a minute.
Let's tell him about it right now.
Well, tell him the number 9 horse is also scratched in the 10th race. But I got one horse I want to tell you about in here. 20-1 on the morning line in the 9th race, and that's the 2 Sir Kiskiano. I'll tell you why. Cuts back to mile, blinkers off today. Look at its record on a wet track. 4 starts, 3 wins. Boom! This horse, I think, is going to be up there running and maybe get loose and score at a price. I don't know if it'll be 21 with the scratches in there, but threw my ticket. Just was enamored with this horse. I used to love this horse years ago. He used to go to the lead and really fight strong. He's definitely been off his form, but I just think the wet track today, maybe he could steal this race, and it's going to beat some really nice horses in there.
Who do you think you are, Vance Cameron with the boom? I mean, I happen to like it, but I'm not sure how it'll get over. Senor Kisquiano is a multiple stakes winner. He's made over $500,000. The problem you have is you're almost going to have total recall to like this horse here today because he's not been himself the last couple of months.
Well, I'm going to go to the 10th race and show you a race where 2 of the horses now that are in this race finished right next to each other. It was a turf race, so I left it in here today because both of these horses have run well on wet tracks, and we're talking about Becky's Kitten and Mr. Algebra, and this race is back on 11-5, November 5th, and they all hit the wire together, and there was a horse in there. Yeah.
No. Jupiter lost to Becky's Kitten.
Yeah. That's what I said.
No,
I said they all hit the wire together. I didn't say
no, Mr. Algebra's not involved here. He beat a field of $8,000 claimers last time.
No, I'm talking about Becky's Kitten and Jupiter.
Well, Jupiter's out.
Yeah, Jupiter's out. But I wanted to show the race because we already had it queued in here.
I wish looks could kill. I'd be a dead man right now. It's a good thing we're not on camera. He's very upset with me.
You just like to embarrass me, don't you? That's
no,
your
not
thing.
at all.
I just wanted to show the replay because we haven't shown many today.
Absolutely. Well, that's a good replay to show because, look, he's not even looking on camera now. Becky's Kitten was dead game that afternoon. This horse has a lot of dirt experience, wins over the main track, and definitely rates a long look here. I'm not going to argue with you at all. Although it's a good thing we only have 1 minute. I think I need to run the other way.
Yeah, this is 7 starts. Becky's Kitten on the wet track with 2 wins in 3 seconds. Mr. Algebra, 4 starts, 2 seconds on the wet track. Just wanted to show you that replay and see how it played out.
It was a good replay. I'm not taking that away from you. Please don't be mad at me. Number one, His Own Beat was my top play here. Efren Loza off the claim. Got to love that. He's 36% with almost a flat bet profit. This horse moves way up on the main track. The last time he was over this main track, he did not fare that well, but that was sprinting. The last time he went long over this track, he ran quite all right. He's got an inside post. If Becky's Kitten doesn't bring his A game and Mr. Algebra is not as good on the dirt, I think that's a true statement, by the way, then I think His Own Beat stands a chance to upset this field, going out for a great barn and aggressively placed off the claim.
Let me give you the scratches in that race in there. 4, 9, as we mentioned, 10, 12, and 13. And that is how we see this definite work in progress. Pete is going to get punched right in the eye when we get off the air here, but otherwise it'll be a good day.
Well, he's smiling at me anyway, so at least if I get punched in the eye, I might be able to see to call the races. 30 minutes out from our opening contest here this afternoon. G5 hinges the day for me as part of the Rainbow Six and Pick 5. Rainbow Six pool will be over 150,000 here today.